Hey everybody, this is Charlie Gaudet,
And I'm Zach Burks.
and today we've got another Predictable Profits video series. So Zach, what are we going to talk about today?
If you haven't seen the last video, we decided to start a series about, you and I have been doing this a long time. And a lot of the questions and challenges we hear from our clients, from entrepreneurs that we speak to, and the groups that we belong, kind of come up, constantly, right? We're consistently seeing the same challenges across the board. And you were just talking to a group earlier today about the hero's journey. So I know you might be kind of tired of maybe that topic, but I wanted to, share that with the greater, good and the bigger public, and dive into a little bit about that. So I guess, first of all, tell me a little bit more about that and how that came about.
Sure. Well, right now we're redoing actually all the messaging on our own website. Funny thing is, I've been doing this since 2010. We've worked with God knows how many entrepreneurs, and yet we're still learning every single day about what's working, what's not working, and so forth. And so, one of the more fascinating things that we've actually fell victim to. So I have to admit, we've got mud on the face. So hopefully that you're going to be able to learn from some of our own mistakes that we've made, and also I'll be able to tell you and show you exactly what's working. When it comes to the hero's journey, right? One of the examples that I use, and I know I'm kind of dating myself here, right, is a Karate Kid. You know what I'm talking about, Zach, right? We've got Ralph Macchio, whatever his name is, and Mr. Miyagi and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
And so, most of the time what ends up happening is the company that, whoever that might be, your company, you actually tried to be the hero in the story, right? I mean, we saw what happened in the political sphere when, we've got Hillary Clinton, whose big tagline was "I'm with her," right? She made herself the hero. I'm with her. Before that was Mitt Romney. His tagline on his website, real recovery begins today. Vote for Mitt. It was all about Hillary. It was all about Mitt, and we ultimately know what ended up happening when they made themselves the hero. And then when we look at those who won, we've got Donald Trump, who said, together, make America great again. And then we've got Barack Obama. We don't turn back. We leave no one behind. We pull each other up. What he did is he made the client the hero, right? And
Yeah.
so ultimately, as we're redoing our messaging, we really want to focus in on making sure that our client is the real hero. We don't want to be the Karate Kid as business owners. We want to be Mr. Miyagi, right? So we want to make that client the hero, and that involves, so how do we do that? Number one, that involves case studies, by making the client show what the client has done to create these extraordinary results, not what I did. I mean, look, we've helped, just last year we helped a company go to the Inc. 5000, and if I said, oh, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's all about me, it's really not, and none of that actually is true. We were really just the guide. It has everything to do with the client and the client's ability to execute and implement, and it's the client who did that. Mr. Miyagi didn't get up and go, look, I just helped the Karate Kid, kick somebody's ass. Woo, yay me, yay Mr. Miyagi. That was never the case. It was
Right.
always the Karate Kid, got all that. So, number one in positioning is always making sure that client is the hero. Number two, this is another really important thing, is Mr. Miyagi. He never actually came out and said, hey, I'm the expert. I am the best in karate. In fact, you could tie your hands. I could tie my hands behind my back and still kick your ass. Right? I could say ass, right? Yeah, I could do that. Well, whatever. But, I could do that. And he didn't have to say that. He demonstrated it through proficiency. By being proficiency, he's the guy on the ground, right? He's the guy who's saying, look, I've been where you are. I've followed the plan that I'm going to give you, and I was able to deliver a certain amount of results.
Yeah.
Right? Mr. Miyagi never once ever said, I'm the expert. And so, we're doing this even, through this video series, and, you can do this you could do this on LinkedIn. You can do this on Facebook and creating articles and sponsored posts, just articles, not even asking for call to actions on every article post, just sharing valuable tips and information, writing on blogs and so forth, helping people. And through helping people, people will draw the conclusion themselves that you are the expert. If you have to outwardly come out and say, hey, Zach, I'm an expert. Like, look at me, I'm an expert. I'm an expert. If you have to outwardly come out and do that, then really you're not an expert, right? If you have to convince somebody you're an expert, that's going to be a problem.
Right.
Demonstrate it. So yeah, that's I guess the big things that I wanted to share off the top of my head.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. Another part of the kind of the hero's journey, which is like a full circle of where that prospect goes, or where that person, if it's like a conference. I think I told you we've been doing that for the conference that I'm hosting. It's the same thing, but like you can, in that circle or in that hero's journey, if you can help them realize for themselves what's possible or what's capable with the help of Charlie, this is my, they have this like emotional kind of connection and feeling. This is what's possible for me. Cause I'm the hero. If I do that, it's more powerful than simply saying more transactional, I can get you more leads, right? That's okay. Great. Yeah. A lot of people can say that, but if you can, have that kind of, emotional attachment to it, it's far more powerful.
Sure. There's an external and an internal motivation, right? I mean, the Karate Kid, his external motivation was, I want the girl, or, I want to beat this bully. The internal motivation was, I'm tired of getting pushed around, I'm feeling a little bit like a loser and so forth. That's the internal motivation. What drives everybody to make decisions is their internal motivation, right? We make decisions on emotion, we rationalize with logic. Very similar, if you own an agency and you're having somebody that's coming to you because they say they want more leads, right? External motivation is they want more leads. The internal motivation, depending on who it is, as an entrepreneur, a lot of times it comes down to self-doubt. I've tried everything, and for whatever reason, I can't get to that next level. So there's a lot of self-doubt. They want to achieve to a certain level. Entrepreneurs are inherently very optimistic, but when they can't achieve, what does it say about that? And they have these fears, maybe I'm not good enough, or whatever that might be. And so, that's what you want to speak to, is that emotion, that human side of things.
Yeah, that's powerful. I think if you can tap into that, which is really common, especially if you're working in the space that we do, we have a lot of kind of headstrong clients. They've been very successful most of their lives, right? And everything they've done. And they're scrappy, resourceful, and they've kind of overcome all odds. And then they've had this moment of setback, where if you're questioning, like, do I still got it? Am I going to make this? That's a really powerful emotion. If you can, provide them kind of what that path looks like to overcoming it, it can be really, powerful and lead to great results for both people, for both the client and yourself, obviously.
Absolutely. So, hey, we want to keep these video series short and with actionable advice and information. So, just to kind of wrap things up real quick, number one, you always want to make sure your client is the hero. Very, very important. Make the client the hero. You want to be Mr. Miyagi. You don't want to be the Karate Kid. The next thing is you want to make sure that you're leading by example, right? There's a lot, there's a lot of coaches, consultants, and whatnot that are inherently, they're book smart. Really, really book smart. But how many of them have actually done it themselves? How many of them have actually gone out and been entrepreneurs? How many of them have actually created their own $1 million, right? How many of them can demonstrate proficiency on LinkedIn and so forth? And, you want to do that. You want to demonstrate to your audience through content, through demonstrating expert status, through case studies, in terms of, what have your clients done and how have they been able to achieve the results that they've been able to achieve. So we've got, make your client the hero. We've got demonstrate expert status. And the third one, Zach, what am I missing here?
I think that's it in terms of kind of the emotional thing. But I'll add one last thing. To the last part, it doesn't necessarily need to be, we're speaking towards agencies, consultants, people that we work with, right? But like, who's like the number one expert that does a great job of kind of proving the expertise? And when you go see them, you take their word as gospel. it's usually a doctor, right? They go in, they say, well, Charlie, tell me a little bit about this. What's going on? And they speak to you as though they're an expert. Have you ever gone to a car shop when you don't know anything about a car? And the guy's like, he's like looking at things. He's telling you, yeah, well, I will probably wouldn't pay for this, but you need to have this done. Almost instantly, like, this guy's an expert. He knows what he's talking about. He's done it before thousands of times. He's saving me money. But he's positioning himself as like Mr. Miyagi to help you realize and help you with your situation. It's still about you, but he's the expert kind of getting you to that point.
Well, right. Because when you ask the right questions, people feel like you understand their problem. And if you can understand their problem almost even better than they can, they automatically think you have the solution to the problem. Some of you have heard this story. I had a gentleman who had paid me over $500,000, between $250,000 and $500,000. I don't remember exactly at what level he was. We had this exact discussion, and he says, I don't know if it's true. And I stopped and I said, well, let me ask you, what do you know about me? And he's like, what do you mean? What do you know about me? And he didn't really know much. He knew that I was from New Hampshire. He knew that I had kids. That's about it. And I said, what do you know about my ability to actually deliver results? And at that point, we've already made him several million. And so he knew what was possible. But at the same time, he's like, man, you know what? I actually don't really know anything. I don't really know about you. And it was through the series of questioning that we asked him. And as he reflected on, it was the questions that we asked him in the beginning of the sales call. So that he knew right off the bat, wow, this guy's asking some really good questions. He understands me. He knows exactly what I'm going through. He must have the solution to my problem. And, then he was okay writing that check. So you bring up a really good point, Zach. And I think that's really, really important for people to understand. So.
Yeah, so we'll do that. Let's use that as the next topic for our next video. We can talk about kind of the sales process, the questions, how to further that hero's journey, but also to kind of establish yourself as an expert when you're having those calls. And we'll go from there.
Love that idea, man. Love that idea. All right, everybody. Hey, thank you very much for watching today's video series, and I'll put another one up for you real soon. Thank you.